Let's talk Graham Platner, the Maine Democrat Senate candidate.
Did Graham Platner rape you?
Formerly, at least. As of, again, hour ago, he's out. In a video message on X, Platner denied the allegation as false, but said the allegation of rape that just came out this week. He said it has placed an immense amount of weight on him, and he has only until Monday to decide whether to continue his candidacy. He said that if he continued, he'd lose his ability to raise money, access voter data, and run a campaign. I personally don't buy that as the reasoning. I think he cut some kind of deal with Democrats and they gave him something favorable in exchange for him saying that. He actually had the leverage in this negotiation, if you want to call it that, with Democrats. I don't buy that he didn't believe he had a path forward. I think if he had lasted until Monday, as we'll get to, there's nothing the party could have done. The party had to get him out before Monday so the party could select his replacement, which means the party gave him something. He was not worried about his own resources and his own prospects. He had the power. He had control. They wanted control from him. And so to get control from him, they gave him something. That to me is the logical explanation of what happened. You guys agree?
Yeah, it had to be something along those lines. It was an easy
now your
choice
mic's totally gone. All right, bump it back up. Now it's gone. Or you're far away from it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it was probably just talking a lot more loudly before.
All right, anyway. let's there you go.
Yeah, I was just saying. Yeah, it was an easy choice for him to make. You know, like you said, negotiate for some kind of goodies in the background, but I mean, he's obviously going to lose. And so he.
I don't know. I think they might have voted for a Nazi rapist over Susan Collins.
That's the only consideration that matters here. If he was more than 10 points ahead, there would be no pressure on him to quit. I think what happened is he's kind of fallen to even with Collins in the polls, so it's a coin toss. They're getting nervous. They want to change quarterbacks.
Well, I think there was a recent Fox poll that actually showed him a few points behind, and I don't know, their internals probably showed that's not getting better. And so they were like, all right. I'm kind of almost surprised, though, that they would pull a Biden on him, seeing as that didn't really work out for Kamala.
To me, this is a worse outcome because it's going to be another case where the Democrat Party avoids democracy. It's going to be, fuck your vote. We're just sorry, Matt. It's just going to be here you go.
You can say whatever you want on this show. You just can't say see out. But that's another that's another discussion.
That's the one thing.
You could say orangutan, just not see out. Okay, but so the process now, because it's before the Monday deadline, is the Democrats are going to replace him. We don't know who it's going to be. We don't know exactly what process the party is going to use to replace him. But when we talk about the Kamala replacement that happened with Joe Biden, this does look a lot like that, but of course that was a total disaster for the party. They lost all the states that they had to win to retain the presidency. So if they think, if this is some kind of intentional Democrat plot, and by that I mean the dropping of all these accusations to get him out, the strategy is not a proven one. Not that Graham Platner is an incredibly strong candidate and there couldn't be anybody who's better than him, but you tried this in 2024 at the presidential level and it did not work out great. So who is the hero who's coming in to replace Graham Platner? There isn't one. There's the sitting governor. What's her face? I can't even remember her name, and nobody can.
Oh, that's even the best part. If they appoint her to run in his place, they're going to lose the DSA people, the socialists, because they're going to scream establishment rigged this.
And Susan Collins will celebrate once again that she's the best of the worst, and she will retain her seat. And everyone will hate her, Republicans and Democrats alike, and she will still hang on to power. But before we get more into this, because I want to talk about the actual accusation, I do want to back up and just remind people that all of this is not really just tabloid stuff. It's not salacious sex topics, whether Graham Platner in fact did this to these women or not. This Maine Senate race, and the reason Democrats would be motivated to pull some shenanigans potentially, this Maine Senate race is crucial to them taking control in the Senate if they can. They must have Maine effectively. Yeah, I mean, they need to flip 4 seats because Republicans have a 53-seat majority right now. They need 4 to get past potential J.D. Vance tiebreaker in a 50-50 situation. So after Maine, they have some potential flips that aren't great. You have North Carolina, Ohio, Texas with Tallarico, Iowa, maybe Montana over here.
Yeah, Tallarico's not happening.
And then they also have to hold Michigan and Georgia, which are not guarantees. So they need a compelling candidate to go against Susan Collins for any shot. Graham Platner, for all his faults, there was at least enthusiasm for the platform. In fact, as we'll hear, the woman who says she got raped says, loved his politics. That's kind of why I shut up forever. I loved his politics, didn't want to intervene, didn't want to upset the politics. And yet here she is upsetting the politics. So whatever's going on here, this is a strategic imperative for Democrats. And it's hard to ignore that these two things overlap. It's hard to ignore the timing of it. But it really is all falling apart for Democrats and Graham Platner. Now, this was my favorite joke on X that I've seen about the story. So Democrats, the great minds strategizing at DNC headquarters, we're losing young male voters because we keep calling them Nazi rapists. So the geniuses thought, let's run an actual Nazi rapist to win them back. And it's all blowing up in their faces. Or is it? Maybe this is exactly the design, but
if this is some kind of 4D chess, it's way over my head.
That's at Perry Alpha with that politically astute observation. Much appreciated. Now, of course, Graham Platner had already survived the Nazi tattoo scandal and the New York Times story that came out in early June, where it was alleged that he knew all about his Nazi tattoo. And one of his ex-girlfriends said he used to talk about potentially raping someone who ever broke into his house, but not in a gay way, which...
one that never comes up that seems to be the weirdest one was, didn't somebody say something about him cranking it in porta potties?
And the porta potty thing.
That was a thing.
The rape and self-defense thing had that was my foot in the door of the Platner campaign. And I thought that was a pretty good take. I liked
that has to be one of your worst takes of all time, if I may say so.
It made me consider, not that I'm a Maine voter, but wow, someone else has considered the philosophy of rape and self-defense.
No, I don't think it was a philosophical question for him.
Okay, well now speaking with Politico and CNN, Graham Platner is just accused of straight up rape. So before it was he was too forceful and he made rape jokes or he had rape fantasies about people breaking into his house and him delivering justice. Now he's a straight up rapist, according to this accuser. This woman's name is Jenny Rasikat. She spoke with Politico in several interviews in a story that was published on Monday. She says in 2021, she and Graham Platner casually dated. And then one night, Graham Platner entered her home against her directions not to, and forced her to have sex with him. And she told this story, in addition to Politico, to Jake Tapper at CNN.
He sent a message back indicating that he would come over. And I said, no, don't come over. Like, I'm not in the mood. Don't come over. And I was more stern with that message. And then I didn't hear back from him. So I thought that meant he got the message or gave up on it or whatnot. Half an hour later, I heard a noise outside my door. And then he came in. He just came into my house. It was unlocked. He came in and I realized, okay, he didn't listen. He's in my home. And I was laying on the couch. He had kind of like jumped on top of me and indicated that he had intentions that were sexual in nature. I remember just at first being like, hey, I'm not into this. Like, I'm not in the mood. Like, don't. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I feel like I've said this enough times. Like, he's not listening to me or he's not hearing me.
Did Graham Platner rape you?
By definition, yes. Absolutely.
Because he had non-consensual sex with you.
Yeah.
Forced himself on you. Mm-hmm. After you had told him no and fought him off.
He violated multiple layers of consent that night.
You know what she should have done? She should have raped him in self-defense. Raped that home intruder in self-defense, just like Graham told you to. But
Find
she
a
didn't.
way. Find a way. Yeah.
Now, the immediate question is the timing. Why did you wait 5 years to tell this story? And Jenny Rassicot says she, again, actually likes his politics. She is a good girl progressive, didn't want to intervene with the progressive candidate.
There are going to be people, maybe even his campaign, certainly his supporters, who say this is politically motivated. What would you say to that?
I couldn't disagree more. That was actually one of the reasons that I didn't come out.
Because you agree with his politics.
I do. I really agree with his politics. I think we need somebody with those political stances and who are willing to do the work. And, I see his political videos. They get me fired up as well. I understand why people want someone like him in office.
Yeah, this is a bit
What?
weird.
I see the guy who raped me at his political rallies, and I'm like, hell yeah, man. Oh, wait. Then I remember that he raped me, and I'm not that into it.
Quick
What is she even talking about? Did you wanted him to win or not? I don't understand what she's saying.
Provided by CNN with a weird.
Yeah, it was echoey when who was that? Jake.
Yeah,
Tapper?
only when Tapper was talking.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
Tapper
I think
was
that's it. I think that's part of the recording, or at least it's part of the recording that I got. Maybe I got it from a weird source or something. But yeah. Speaking of poor audio engineering, it sounds like CNN had a rough time with this.
There's this story from I think a different woman who he dated, who said that he had this habit on at least 6 occasions that she recorded of non-consensually removing a condom.
They call it stealthing.
Yeah,
that was the new one. Yeah,
and so the thing about that is they said they were dating for 2 years or something. And it's like, all right, if that bothered you after the first time and the second time and maybe the third, fourth, and fifth times, but I'm beginning to wonder. I'm just wondering. That's all.
And she was part of the New York Times story too. So point of fact, Jenny Rassicot was part of that New York Times story. Where is it? That just came out in June. And she said, well, one time Graham Platner came over against my wishes, and that was it. She didn't talk about the rape. And she has an explanation for that now. But likewise, Fifield is the woman you're talking about who says he stealthed her several times. That's a new one, too. She is also a part of this New York Times story, and now she's out with the Washington Post saying that he stealthed her several times. So they keep adding details, even though they've already given the story before.
Here's the problem. I think she did give this story to the New York Times, and they just were like, I don't know.
She says she didn't. She says she did not. She says she withheld it. But maybe she's lying.
I believe that she didn't say it on the record. I'm guessing she would, because there's no way, if you're sitting there as a reporter and you're hearing this, right away you're getting, you probably ask her, let's go off the record for a minute. I just think that the New York Times knew that this was what she was trying to sell, and they didn't, and they've been holding on to this story.
It is a fact that they have been sitting on a lot of these details that they did know beforehand. Who knows how many, which details, but they were definitely holding a lot of it back, presumably waiting to see if the dam would break. And
I think he was riding high into polls back then. So
yeah, if he sank, then this is their thinking. Both the people in the party and the people who are in these sort of, para-party apparatuses like the New York Times, they're all Wilsonians, right? It's all about, we're the smart people, we're the strategizers. We're going to look and see which way things are going, and we will exert control when we think that we have to. And so that was the calculation. Once the polls dropped far enough, they said, okay, pull the plug, shut it down. This guy ain't going to work. So we'll, release the hounds.
Keep in mind, they didn't want him in the first place. They wanted that, again, the sitting governor lady. What's her name?
Janet Mills. I remembered in the meantime. Yeah.
And it's coincidentally, I just have a feeling that that's who they're going to land on.
I'm sure the betting odds are out. I bet that's the favorite for the replacement candidate is going to be her. But as far as her explanation for why,
I think you're right, though. That probably would tick off a lot of people.
I don't think it's a great choice if you want to win. Yeah. So as far as Rassicot, the accuser's explanation for why she talked to the New York Times last month and didn't disclose the rape part, she says she wanted privacy. And again, this is like a month, 6 weeks ago that she's talking to the New York Times. Here's what she had to say.
When the New York Times story came out, you were in it, but you didn't go as far in that story as you are today.
Yeah.
Why not?
I didn't want to. I didn't want to have to violate this huge level of privacy to my own life to be able to infer that this person is not honest and trustworthy. I felt really protective of my own privacy throughout this whole process. And it got to a point where my privacy was no longer going to happen. And that was when I kind of just made the decision that, like, I'm going to say my piece and get it out there.
The point where your privacy was no longer going to happen is when you were voluntarily talking to the New York Times. What is she even talking about? This is nonsensical. Well, the story was going to get out there. Yet through you. You cared about your privacy a month ago. Now you've done a complete 180 and it's very important to tell the story in full. I have no idea what she's talking about.
If anything, the New York Times kind of buried her story because didn't she first, her allegation appear like in paragraph number 30?
It's way down here. This one about him coming over against her wishes. It's way down in there.
That story, essentially what the New York Times did was turn it into basically a hit piece against a Republican woman who accused him of the
this woman. She's the one who actually says that he stealthed her a bunch. She's a conservative
if you read that piece,
or something.
To me, it's just a hit piece about her. Oh, the nasty Republican woman.
Maybe.
You know, that's actually something that's really grossed me out about all of this because you had that initial accuser, Lindsay Fifield, and her accusations were at least as credible as anybody else's. But because she is not on the left, ignored completely, who cares? Believe women as long as they're on the left.
I mean, this to me, whether we believe these accusations or not has to be beyond partisan politics. I know there's temptation to say, well, they did it to Kavanaugh. I'm glad to see this scalp claimed, even though technically Kavanaugh's scalp wasn't claimed. But they try to do this all the time. If it claims a Democrat scalp, there is temptation to celebrate it. I don't think that that's necessarily the right move. I hate this standard that if a bunch of women come out and make accusations, well, he has to go. That's the end of it, especially when there is clear timing and incentive for them to do this sort of stuff. And I just want to emphasize a few points about why Rassicot's story is total bullshit. She claims that during that encounter, she messaged, not called, messaged Graham Platner and said, do not come over to my house. Then he came over anyway. And then after this supposed rape, she broke up with him 2 weeks later by, again, text message. I think she said Instagram message or some other platform for text messaging. She broke up with him. She first made sure that she was not pregnant. Then she broke up with him in a text messaging form. Where are these messages? They are not shown in the Politico story. And even though Politico did see emails that she sent to her therapist and messages that she sent to her friend to talk about it, why didn't she show the messages to Graham Platner, which again, she described in a text format? Even Politico didn't see the messages. Where are these messages? She's saying they exist and is not showing them. That's a red flag. Number two, she never filed a police report. In the Politico story, she says she didn't initially file a police report because she was shocked. Let me find the language. She was shocked and scared or something like that. She didn't do it initially. And then she came to fear that Platner would punish her or retaliate against her.
Is this the one, though, that had therapist testimony or something like that? Some kind of...
She says she talked to her therapist, and Politico says they have messages to that effect. But you know what? Maybe you were scared to talk about it at the time. You're clearly not scared to talk about it now very publicly. And guess what? It's for rape. It's not beyond the statute of limitations. Don't you want justice in this matter? Why are you not talking to police now, since you are very publicly talking about the entire story? Where's the police report that goes along with this? Even if it is 5 years later, at least you're willing to put your name to it under some sort of penalty if you lie. She's not doing that. And The New York Times timing makes no sense. Oh, I wanted privacy back then, but I don't want privacy now. That doesn't make any sense. The timing lines up perfectly with the deadline that Democrats are now benefiting from to select their candidate. Even the politics explanation. Well, I didn't intervene because I like his politics. If you actually wanted a progressive to win in Maine, you should have intervened immediately to make sure that a non-Graham, not rapey progressive would win. And then you have the best chance for a progressive in November. Even if you take the progressive politics angle, her behavior makes no sense.
It's a weird admission for her to say, for example, that his political speeches fire her up. Is like, you mean to tell me that your rapist is somebody that you routinely watch on television and get fired up by his speeches?
And he's not a fired up type candidate. Okay. He's not a Barack Obama speaker. He mumbles behind a mustache. Yeah, I think healthcare should be free. Yeah, I think we've done too many forward wars.
That's how the Democrats win the mail vote right there.
That's not whatever you think of his positions. He's not exactly an inspiring presence. He's just a guy. He could be any guy at a gas station as far as the way he talks.
I just think for once we have a situation where the Republican Party actually did the right thing, probably for ulterior motives, but they kept their mouths shut. I can't think of one big name Republican who called for him to step down.
Yeah, well, there's no need, right? Because after all, for the Republicans, him staying in is a gift.
Because that's the ulterior motive. Exactly.
Yeah. I wanted him to stay in. I actually kind of wanted him to make it to the Senate to continue the feud with Based Frankenstein, John Fetterman. Before I get to that, one thing I wanted to mention, as Michael Tracy asked, well, even if we accept her story as told, the guy was blackout drunk, as you described. How do we know that she didn't rape him? Okay, we did an investigation into this woman, even though, he was on her property. So I think that's the big concern there.
Now, I don't want to sound like I'm defending Graham Platner too much, because I think he is probably a bully, and unfortunately there are women who think that that's an admirable or a trait in men that they can at least live with. I think there's enough of a pattern here to establish that much, but so I'm not crying tears for him is all I'm saying.
I'm just interested the direction he's going to take, because he can't just quit the race and this goes away. He's got to come out with his side. Did the encounter actually happen?
Well, that's why he had to get something good out of it, because you're right. Leaving the race implies legitimacy. He's saying that the accusations are false still, but leaving implies some legitimacy. And so if he wants a political future, it's kind of done now, I think. I can't imagine how he comes back politically from this. So whatever he got must have been good. Did they just pay him? Did they just give him a sack of cash?
He has to offer some kind of defense, like that didn't happen, or yes, it happened and it was consensual. Something.
Actually, that's something I was going to say. You mentioned it's bad that this is that this keeps happening, and we shouldn't consider it normal. But I mean, if you go all the way back to Clarence Thomas, they've been doing this for a very long time.
What was it? The pube on the Coke can?
Yeah.
Old Dog Silver.
So I think to some extent, and not everybody actually goes down for this. Some people may recall back when Arnold Schwarzenegger ran for governor.
What?
Schwarzenegger.
The governor.
Schwarzenegger N-word, please.
That one. But he was actually accused of groping a woman at a party or something like that, and he just said, "Nah, I didn't do that," and he went on to win.
Well, so the two most prime examples we have, Kavanaugh, he banged the table and was screaming practically at his hearing, and Trump, I never met this woman. I don't know who. I met her one time. I don't know what she's talking about.
Right. So to some extent,
these are the defenses you would expect.
That's true. He hasn't mumbled much behind that mustache that would convince people. When I'm saying I don't think this happened, I'm judging by her description, not an impassioned defense from Graham Platner.
I'm just looking at from the political perspective. You should just sort of expect that something like this happens, and you should be prepared for it. If you are caught flat-footed, that's on you, because it's gonna happen.
Well, I mean, from his perspective, if he's innocent, to me this would be easier to defend by just being outraged, because his supporters, they want him to defend himself, and because he's not, this
makes him look guiltier,
making it easy for them to pressure him out.
Even though his accuser isn't all that convincing. This latest one, she's over there like, oh, did Graham Platner rape you? And she's like, technically, if you
I
really
looked it up in the
of,
dictionary, and yes.
if you sort of parse it all out, that appears to be the case. Like, I don't know.
Well,
I think there are a lot of cases where the woman does not find it very confusing. Like, I could think of a few cases in the UK.
Yeah, fair point. Yes. Before we move on, I want to give an ode to my dreams of the continuing Fetterman Platner feud living on in the Senate. Unfortunately, I don't think John Fetterman-based Frankenstein has yet posted a response to the news that his nemesis, Graham Platner, has indeed left the race, but the feud has continued for weeks now. In response to these latest allegations, Fetterman is urging Democrats, or was urging Democrats, not to get in bed with dirtbags like Platner. Actually, in based Frankenstein speak, it was don't get on bed with them.
The entire Democratic Party in Maine has called him to leave. And now also, as far as I know, whether it's Schumer, Gillibrand, and other leadership in the DS and other people have all called him, had to go. He's a dead man walking. I don't know why he's trying to pretend that he's not done too. Even those Pod Save America people that pushed that dirtbag, and they dismissed those things in the New York Times article. Maybe they ought to apologize to the women that clearly they didn't believe, or they dismissed that. I know Democrats that have, back to back endorsed and got all in on Swalwell, and were on the Platner train as well too. So maybe stop, getting on bed with absolute dirtbags.
Getting on bed with them.
Point of order on Fetterman. Okay, he still votes like a Democrat in the Senate.
Of course.
But holy crap, has he gotten more based?
The other day, he's hilarious.
He was literally screaming, we got to get these communists out of here. He was basically going full Trump.
Oh, yeah.
You got to get rid of all the communists. And he just comes on Fox News almost every day and bashes the Democrat Party.
Love it. Yeah.
You know what my favorite Fettermanism is?
Dicks.
Not that one. It's actually when he says, as well too. Now, he used to say as well true. Now he's moved to as well too, which is kind of like saying in addition also. It's redundant, but it's still endearing the way he says it. As well too. I like that.
There's something cute about his nickname for Graham Platner is P Hustle.
That's right.
It's so endearing. Like you're trash talking the guy all the time, but you're like, hey, P Hustle.
We need more based Frankenstein P Hustle diss tracks. Hopefully they are coming.